Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Uswatun. I'm from TBI1 and my ID number is T20196028. Here I would like to describe about hypothesis. Hypothesis is tentative statement about the relationship between two or more variables. It is a specific, testable prediction about what you expect to happen in a study. The input hypothesis, also known as monitor model, is a group of 5 hypotheses of second language acquisition developed by the linguist Stephen Carson in the 1970s and 1980s. Carson originally formulated the input hypothesis as just one of the 5 hypotheses, but over time the term has come to refer to the 5 hypotheses as a group. The 4 main parts of any hypothesis test: the null and alternative hypothesis, the test statistic, probability values, and statistical significance, the conclusion of hypothesis testing. For the first is the null and alternative hypothesis. In a statistic, a hypothesis is a statement or assumption about the characteristic of one or more variables in one more population. Since a statement can be either true or false, there are 2 hypotheses to identify. The null hypothesis denoted by HO is the statement about a value or a population parameter that we intend to test. And next is the alternative hypothesis denoted by HA or H1 in other research must be what is true or if the null hypothesis is false. There are 3 ways to be different from the null hypothesis test: larger than, smaller than, or just plain different or not equal. Second one is the test statistic. When we have a statement of hypothesis, the next thing that happens is we analyze sample data collected appropriately. See sampling in submission 5, using both graphical and numerical summaries or sub-competencies 1 and 2 respectively. Number 3 is probability values and statistical significance. The key to making an appropriate conclusion to a hypothesis test is to identify results that are statistically significant. When results observed from the sample are unlikely under the assumption that the null hypothesis is true, we say the result is statistically significant. There are actually 2 ways to proceed with hypothesis testing: the classical method and the p-value or probability value approach, with both giving the same conclusion to the test. The last one is the conclusion of hypothesis testing. It is important to keep in mind that the statistical result from a hypothesis test only deal with the null hypothesis HO. There are only 2 statistical conclusions to make at the end of hypothesis test. We reject HO or we fail to reject HO. After stating the statistical conclusion, it is important to write a sentence or 2 about what our conclusions are in a way that a non-statistic person can understand. There are actually 2 ways to process with hypothesis testing: the classical method and the p-value or probability value approach, with both giving the same conclusion to the test. For the last one is the conclusions of hypothesis testing. It is important to keep in mind that the statistical result from a hypothesis test only deal with the null hypothesis HO. I think enough from me. I hope you enjoy my video and see you. Bye bye.